Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Dennis McGinn is the founder and CEO of Rapid Recon, the preeminent name in recon in the retail automotive business. He's a great fixture of the retail community. We're honored to have him. Dennis, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. I love being here, love being asked, and love talking about the business and all the things we can do to kind of do our part. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, congratulations to you. I see Rapid Recon everywhere. You've had some amazing panels over the last year at the Roundtable. I've met a lot of your associates. I'm very impressed by your A team that you send in. Also, we've had the women of Rapid Recon on here as well, and they're equally impressive. So, congratulations to you, Dennis, on all the success you're having. I know success doesn't happen overnight, and you've put a lot of work into this to bring us to this level.
You know, it's not really a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. I mean, from my standpoint, to me, we have been very organic. So a lot of those people who have been on your show came because they heard about us or knew somebody. We didn't go out and find them. They found us, and they love what they do. And I will tell you, you know, this is a management by initiative company, and they've got permission to get out there and stir the pot, and that's a lot of fun for me. I mean, I have to say that most of the things that really happen are not really directly due to me. I mean, I know how to wave my hands, and I started this idea and got the ball rolling. But I'll tell you, it's a terrific team. A lot of people say that, but I can tell you that the people on my bench are all smarter than I am, and thank goodness.
I am so impressed by a lot of the retail people who've been on the roundtable and talking about your company and how they have managed to get the days to get the vehicle ready, frontline ready, I think is the term they use. And every time we have a roundtable, Dennis, those days are going down lower and lower and lower. And you know what? Probably no better time than now to be focused on that and looking at with a lot of the changes that have been occurring in the market for dealers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the transition back to normality, i.e., margin compression, and you know, having to actually work to close deals and sell things, you know, it's really setting in, and that amount of time to get that car ready, it drives everything now. I mean, whether you're talking about turns or, you know, the velocity term, anything like that, profit per car. Gross per car, it's all driven by time to line now. You know, that window, and how quickly when you determine you're going to have that car on your books, how quickly you can get it out there so somebody that's looking can kind of get their hands on it. So that's the deal. That's what we do.
I credit you. Not quite a year ago, maybe 10, 11 months ago, you started talking about this term transparency. And
Yep.
we had not heard that, or not very much of it, on the service side, let alone on the reconditioning side. We've heard about it in the variable side on the finance F&I department, how
Yep.
transparency was coming and how it had arrived. And now we started hearing it here. And Dennis, I credit you because you called that to our attention early. And it's amazing how that has just taken off, that term. Consumers are focused on transparency. You're doing a lot of things at Rapid Recon for your dealers that help them focus on the importance of transparency, not just in one area, but in many aspects. So I wanted to ask you about that today and what some of your thoughts were on transparency and where we're headed.
Well, I think it's a natural evolution of measure and manage. My HP, my background in technology, all that was, you know, started out, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, et cetera, and evolved from that. But because of what's happened in the industry now with the buyers, and the buyers are used to making their own decisions, not being told the answers. They're all on Amazon. They want to make their own decisions. They also know they're paying premiums for cars, used cars these days, so they're going to keep it longer. And so they want to know as much about it as they can. This isn't they want to do the homework. They want to figure out if they're going to spend 10 grand or 100 grand, exactly what's been done to this asset that now is going to become theirs, that they're going to live with this thing for a while, or their family is. And so I think it's a lot that transparency thing now has gone from just the idea of knowing how long it's taking you and having your whole team on the same measure and manage. In other words, we're all looking at the same number, and so we all feel good about being accountable. Now it's come to the consumer. The consumer says, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, I can look up at the Carfax, I can see whether there was an issue, but now I want to know the Recon facts. I want to know exactly why these things were done, and I don't want any surprises." So I think transparency is got it, it's a whole picture now, and in general, the buyers are getting smarter. They want to have access to that information.
And I think the dealers in turn are getting smarter as well. We're learning a whole lot about the consumer. And you're right. You know, a while back, it used to be acceptable when a car, let's say, went into the service department, that we didn't get an update or didn't know what was happening with the car, for quite some time. Now the consumer says, I want to know what's happening. I want to know an update. I want to be conveniently reminded on the status of my vehicle, even if there is, not much of a status to update. But the consumer now, Dennis, expects it. And it is the new bar, this new expectation. You recently, Rapid Recon, I'm going back maybe a couple of weeks, but not too far. There was a study done, and I want to talk a little bit about that when consumers realized, that you would be able to provide them with things such as recall information on that vehicle, it increased the trust factor in the vehicle and in the dealership. Talk to us a little bit about that, because that's all related back to transparency.
Yeah, I mean, we realized this a while ago, but and so we engaged with a company in Oregon that I thought does a superior job of making sure every recall is completely checked out, that there's no mistakes. And so we've been with them, probably 8 years now, and no glitches. I mean, they're just really good at what they do. So I looked at this back then as just one more thing that needs to be done correctly to make sure that car is really ready to sell. Again, no surprises. And if there's still an open recall, you have to take care of it, or you have to be able to disclose it. And recalls are a big deal. And not, I mean, the safety recalls especially, but any kind of recall. I want to know this car has they're all taken care of, and so it's one more thing in our bag that we feel responsible for making sure is completely exposed and it's done. Or if it's not done, there's a reason it's not done, but the customer knows. He has that information. There are no surprises, and there's no reason for any of that to be a surprise today. So that's important, that we get, just like everything else that's done to recondition a car, the recall resolutions are all part of it.
I recently had a dealer on the Roundtable who's got several rooftops and retails approximately 300 used vehicles a month.
Okay.
And told me about the importance of their reconditioning process. And he said, Ted, you know what? In having 300 vehicles, that we've got a lot tied up in those vehicles, that if we're not on top of every little thing on reconditioning, and they're using your tool, Dennis McGinn at Rapid Recon, he said, if we're not on top, something could slip through the cracks. And you said, you know what? We're human beings. We've got a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. That's easy to happen. But Rapid Recon helps us in doing that and being aware. And with market values changing as dramatically as they have in recent months, he says, we can't afford not to have this. So, Dennis, you are creating and have created maybe the gold standard, in Recon at Rapid Recon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It all started back 13 years ago when a general manager at a Lexus store that I had known for a while grabbed me by the neck and said, "Hey, this is a problem. Nobody really knows how long it's taken." Oh, he said, "I go out and back and look at how much dust is on these cars, and that's kind of my gauge. How long has these things been waiting?" And so that's what got me interested. And then I started to look into it, and sure enough, everybody was just working around the problem and kidding themselves. And the status quo, I mean, the first thing we had to solve was a way for the technicians to be able to manage their own accountability. Because before that, it was a finger pointing game. Okay. Everybody, and so nobody wanted a finger pointed at them. So they'd always come up with a number that was best case. So everybody thought they were happy, but they were the actual metrics were terrible. So that's been the fun part, is attacking something that is a big problem in the industry and costs everybody more money all the way up and down the line, for the consumer, all the way up through the whole thing. So just, take the waste out.
Well, Dennis, and you've made it, go back to that word again, transparent on the dealer's side, because now you've got all the key players. You mentioned technician, used car reconditioning manager, general manager. They're aware through your software where they stand and what needs to be approved, what parts they might be waiting on, and what they need to do to get that vehicle frontline ready. So you've provided that extra layer of transparency that they haven't had in the past, and now gives them insights into those valuable assets that they've got, called the pre-owned, the used car department.
Yeah, I had a chance in college. I rode crew in Los Angeles for a half a year, and I was in the best shape ever of my whole life. You know what a crew, you got 8 people hitting the oar at the same time, and I like to kind of draw that analogy here, because what happens when you all get on the right beat? The boat just leaps. It basically just takes a jump, and that's what happens when you get the measure and manage together. When you get your time to line and everybody's working on the same number, all of a sudden you see this acceleration. People aren't making it up, are faking it till they make it. They're actually there. It's their number. They own it, and everybody around them it's their number too. And all of a sudden, this whole thing takes a lot of the angst out of the whole system. But the best part is, it really is that you keep your costs down, and allows you a lot more flexibility in terms of what you're charging for the cars. So it's a profit maker, and it is a teamwork accelerator.
I love it. We're talking today to Dennis McGinn, who is the founder and CEO at Rapid Recon. Dennis, I gotta ask you one last question. For those, and there still are some dealers and managers out there who say, you know what, I can do it myself. My software is up here. I know where I stand on my inventory. What do we say to them? What do we say to get them in the game and take advantage of the great tools and the technology that you've put together with so many dealers?
Yeah, I mean, they need to ask others out there that they know what they've done, because we have a lot of good people to talk to who've been through this whole cycle. And yeah, there are a lot of them that say, oh, well, I really can do without it. I can use a spreadsheet or whatever it is. Going back to the gut feel days. Well, they're just wasting time and money to think that that's the case. Some of them, it's a pride issue because they're supposed to know all the answers. And so they think, okay, we can do without this. but you're really doing a disservice not only to yourself and your business, but to your people, the people you got working for you. So that my advice to them is open your eyes, ask to talk to some people that are doing this and are doing it well, have been through this thing, and learn from them. I mean, they don't have to believe me. And I've been through every corner of this thing. I've seen, some come, some go, some come back. I can tell you, but it all comes back to the general manager. This rests solely on the general manager's shoulders in terms of their leadership ability. So if they don't see this as an opportunity to improve their process and get more leadership, they're just not going to get to it. It becomes a bit of an ego. But I've seen so many of them transition across that point, and I have some of the best general managers of brands all across the country, and I can tell you, they didn't all start out thinking that we had the answer. They all started out thinking that they had the answer, but now they know that we've helped them with their answers. So that would be my advice: is this is not a maybe. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you can't. There's so many things that go on in their operations to try and keep track of with either gut feel or a pencil or a spreadsheet. It makes no sense in this day and age to do any of that. And that's it. I mean, what else can I say? That being said, a few of them will still, I might not be able to get through to them, but I know for a fact that what we do makes sense. And by the way, just a plug, we started at the bottom and worked up. I mean, the reason we're really good at this is because we went right to the guys at the bottom of the pile and made it work for them, who they were all skeptical in the beginning. So now we know everything that we do ties together. So when I say time to line, everybody's numbers are traceable, all back to the origin. So that general manager, when they're looking at those numbers, they know everybody's tied together. Nobody's making stuff up anymore. They're all doing they're doing it the right way.
Everybody, if you haven't already, learn more at rapidrecon.com. Dennis McGinn has assembled not only the best tools and technology, but he's got the people to help make it happen. People who have worked and lived this in retail, and they know the best practices, and you can't afford not to be without this reconditioning solution. So Dennis, congratulations to you and Rapid Recon on all the success. I look forward to a great 2023 ahead of us. And thank you, Dennis, for all that you and Rapid Recon do for our industry.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your contributions with the Fixed Ops Roundtable and all the people you bring together to help this industry see things and move it forward as well, Ted. So appreciate your time and the opportunity to be on your show.
Everybody, if you want the latest, rapidrecon.com, reach out to Dennis McGinn and his team at Rapid Recon. Dennis McGinn, everybody, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.